Looking at the night sky, we can see countless stars. But only 5 of the neighboring planets in our solar system, which are much closer to our planet than the stars, can be seen with the naked eye. One of them is the planet Mercury. Mercury is the first and closest planet in the solar system. Mercury's average distance from the Sun is 57,910,000 kilometers, and Mercury is a metallic planet. Mercury is 4,880 kilometers in diameter, making it the smallest of the large planets in the solar system. It is even smaller than Jupiter's moon, Ganymede, and Saturn's moon Titan. But its density is much closer to that of our planet. Earth's density is 5.515 grams per cubic centimeter, and Mercury's density is 5.427 grams per cubic centimeter. This is due to the fact that it contains a lot of metal. According to estimates, Mercury consists of 70% metal and 30% silicate. Because Mercury is so close to the Sun, its orbit is quite small, so it takes 88 Earth days for Mercury to complete a complete orbit around the Sun. A year on Mercury is shorter than a season on our planet. Another reason Mercury's year is short is its orbital speed, and its orbital speed averages 47 kilometers per second. Despite being a small planet, the reason why it moves so fast is because it is very close to the Sun. As the Sun rotates around its axis, it forces Mercury, which is close to it, to move quickly in its orbit. But since the year of Mercury is shorter than the year of our planet, its day is much longer than the day of our planet. One day of Mercury is equal to 176 days of our planet, and one complete rotation of Mercury on its axis corresponds to our 58.65 Earth days. Mercury's gravity is almost the same as that of Mars, but Mercury is much smaller than Mars, with only 71.9% of the mass of Mercury. This is due to the fact that the iron-rich core of Mercury is much larger than the size of the planet itself. The radius of Mercury's core is estimated to be 2,020 kilometers. So the Mercury core occupies about 57% of its volume. For our planet, this ratio is 17%. Research shows that Mercury has an iron-rich molten core, and because of this process, the planet has its own magnetic field. Mercury's magnetic field is strong enough to deflect the solar wind, similar to our planet's magnetic field. Because Mercury is so close to the Sun, its temperature is very extreme, with temperatures on the dark side of the planet's surface cooling to -170 degrees centigrade. The temperature rises to 427 degrees centigrade on the sunward side of the planet. According to information sent by space probes sent to study Mercury, water ice has been detected in the deep parts of the polar craters, which never get sunlight, despite the very high temperature on Mercury. This is because Mercury's atmosphere is very weak. Mercury's tenuous atmosphere contains hydrogen, helium, oxygen, sodium, calcium, potassium, magnesium, silicon, and more. Mercury's gravity weakens its atmosphere to keep it stable. Therefore, atoms in Mercury's atmosphere are constantly being lost and replenished from various sources. The source of the hydrogen and helium in Mercury's atmosphere is thought to be a product of the solar wind. Hydrogen and helium enter Mercury's atmosphere in the form of the solar wind and stay in the planet's atmosphere for a while before escaping into space. In addition, water vapors have been identified in the atmosphere of Mercury, which are released as a result of the fall of comets on the surface of the planet. The formation of oxygen from meteorites and rocks in the solar wind, and the evaporation of water ice in the permanently shadowed polar craters for various reasons. Sodium, calcium, and potassium are thought to be present in the atmosphere as a result of vaporization of surface rocks by comet impacts. Mercury is not a suitable place for Earth-like life. Due to the extremely high temperature and changing atmosphere, any living thing cannot survive such conditions. Parts of Mercury's subsurface may have temperatures suitable for life, but without liquid water, the chances of any biological life surviving are extremely low. Like other planets in the solar system, Mercury was formed about 4.5 billion years ago. The abundance of heavy metals in the composition of Mercury can be explained by the state during the formation of the planet. Because Mercury is so close to the Sun during its formation process, the very hot and very strong winds from the Sun forced the lighter elements away from the region, leaving the heavier elements that were able to withstand the pressure of the Sun's heat and strong winds, and most of the accreting planetary rock is heavy, consists of metals. Like the Moon, Mercury has had magma oceans throughout its history. Mercury was heavily bombarded by comets and asteroids during and shortly after its formation 4.5 billion years ago, and the bombardment largely ceased by 3.8 billion years ago. Mercury received a lot of shocks all over its surface during this period, helped by the lack of an atmosphere to slow down the shocks. A volcano was active on Mercury during this time. In general, the surface of Mercury is very similar in appearance to that of the Moon. Mercury's surface has moon-like wrinkle ridges, craters, high mountains, plains, ridges, and valleys. One of the unique features of Mercury's surface is the presence of numerous narrow ridges that are several hundreds of kilometers long. According to assumptions, they were formed as a result of the cooling of the core and mantle of Mercury, as a result of the contraction of the hardened outer layer during the relative contraction of the planet. As a result of the contraction of this planet, it is estimated that the diameter of Mercury decreased from 2 kilometers to 14 kilometers, and this process continues to this day. Mercury's orbit around the Sun is the most eccentric orbit compared to other planets. It is 46 million kilometers away from the Sun when it is closest to the Sun, and 70 million kilometers apart when it is farthest from the Sun. On average, Mercury reaches its closest approach every 116 Earth days, but due to Mercury's eccentric orbit, this interval can be anywhere from 105 to 129 days. When Mercury is closest to our planet, the distance is reduced to 82,200,000 kilometers, and this distance is gradually decreasing. Because of this, the orbit of Mercury is changing. Mercury is more often and more easily visible in the southern hemisphere than in the northern hemisphere. Reaching Mercury poses significant technical challenges due to its proximity to the Sun, the gravitational pull of the Sun, and the orbital speeds of the planets. A spacecraft must rely entirely on rocket engines for a safe landing or a stable orbit. This strange planet with strange movements and extreme temperatures still hides many secrets from us. At the same time, curious people are working hard to reveal the secrets of this planet, so Mercury is in the constant attention of people.